Can we use the back of this? We'll use the back of this. Okay. So you're going to take a little tiny piece because your hands all are mostly going to be small. And you have two ways to work on a hand. You can either make each individual little part and then put it together, or you can make the basic shape of a hand like this, and then you cut out the thumb. 1, 2, 3. Okay? So you have it so it kind of looks like a really ugly monster hand. And then you go back in and you shape it even smaller. So you take away the really fat part of it. Keep those there because you might need those little bits later. And then you round out the ends. Okay, so now you still have kind of a two-dimensional hand. Make sure that all the fingers are more or less the same width so that you don't end up with fat finger. Right? And then you decide which part of it's going to be the palm and which part of it's going to be the back of the hand. So let's make this flat part the back, and let's make this part the palm. Now this is difficult because this is sticky material. So those little sections that you took off, you actually put back on, and you make the palm, which is this part and this part that bloops out. So you're adding on that little section to there, bringing in the middle so it's the middle of the palm. And then doing the same thing with the rest of it. So you're just adding on a section. So like the rest of it, what you want to do is you want to make it really vague. Could you pass the water?
There's one right there.
Perfect. Okay. So putting water on this is going to help it not stick to your hands. So definitely when you're working on these tiny little pieces, use water. Smooth it out. And if you notice, it's already starting to look a little bit more like a little teeny tiny hand, right? I mean, it's still very bloopy, but it's starting to look more like one. So you take your tool and you soften it, and you have to make the indent right here where the fingers start. And then depending on what your hand is doing, you have to open these back up. You're going to want to stick together because that's the nature of this material. And then you have to give it the gesture that you want. So you soften the edge so you have like a nice soft edge to it. You might even have to fold it over and pull it back out again. And if you want, let's just say you're doing a fist, you fold it back in. So this is definitely, because this material is so droopy, this is going to be a work in progress. You're going to have to keep on shaping it and keep on defining the fingers. Now it's gotten a little too wet. So, I'm sticking to them. So you start shaping each different section and you start defining the fingers back in there. And then once you've got it with the lines and the things that you want, you have to take this really basic shape that you have, which is a little bit on the rough side, and you have to just let it sit. Okay? But you want to make sure that when you have the basic hand, that at least the angles are right. so that later on when you come back in and you add the knuckles and the thumb and everything else that you're going to add, the hand is in the basic shape. So if somebody's going to say they're going to add a fist that's hitting somebody or that is holding something, you want to have this really tiny little basic shape that has the right angles to it. Let it set, and then you come back tomorrow and you're going to start adding the palm, you're going to start adding the fingernail, you're going to start adding little parts to it that will define it more and more. And this has to go in steps because this material does not get hard for an hour. So just make sure at the beginning you've got the right basic shape of it, and later on we'll come back in and we'll add knuckles. And we'll add more to the wrist, and we'll add a bend in the wrist. So it's kind of a 2-3 step process. But you start off with these little parts, just like we did little arms over there and let them set. Okay?